We have the Japanese ancestor worship, and they too were a very animistic culture. And this hybrid we get between Chan Buddhism and Shinto in Japan is often called Zen Buddhism. Now there's other sects and denominations of Buddhism in Japan. Zen Buddhism, it's, as far as I can tell, it's like the existential version of Buddhism. And if you know me from my other classes, you know how much I love existential philosophy in the West. And there's a lot of incredible parallels between this idea of existential Western philosophy and Eastern Zen Buddhist teaching, especially out of Japan. And part of what I want to share with you about it is this idea of the self. In Buddhist concept of the self becomes like an aggregate of being. We don't have an ego. Remember, the ego is illusion, and it's something we have to let go. What we are a series of experiences that take place. And if you've ever made one of those rubber band balls or string balls where you take a little piece of string or rubber band and you just keep joining them together until you get this big ball, well, that big ball would represent your life. And each of those individual rubber bands or strings is like an event or action or relationship that took place. But if you begin to deconstruct your life, and this is part of what's done through meditation, and you take strand after strand, so Heidegger, the German existential philosopher, as well as Zen Buddhist teachers, have this idea that once you deconstruct all your activities, all your relationships, kind of like that thousand-petaled lotus of the heart, when you pull back each petal, each layer, and you lay them all out, you realize that there is no self, there is no you. You are this aggregate of experiences, but once all those experiences are taken away, there is no self. And that's very different from a Western or Christian idea of this idea of God knowing you before any of your parts were made, and then your life is that self that was created is kind of acting out in accordance with its nature. Where in Buddhism is all that sort of interaction activity, that is the illusion that distracts us with our unity with the one. And so part of the Buddhist meditation practice, and in Zen Buddhism, they practice something called no mind meditation.